Breaking: the Florida Senate race is over. Here are the final results. Finally, Democratic Senator Bill Nelson just conceded to his Republican challenger Rick Scott in the midterm election for the Senate in Florida. After Broward County Supervisor of Elections Brenda Snipes' incompetence and dirty tricks, it's finally come down to this. Scott is the new freshman senator from Florida. He won that election fair and square. Despite the Democrats, Scott is leading Nelson by 10,000 votes. Even if more mailed-in ballots come in, Nelson could not beat that total, so he conceded. Nelson has served 3 terms in the U.S. Senate. He did not lose this race gracefully, and he tried every trick in the book to beat Scott. It is the first time in more than 100 years that Florida has had 2 Republican senators representing the state. Fox News has more on the election results. Florida's longtime Democratic Senator Bill Nelson conceded Sunday to Republican challenger Rick Scott in the hotly contested race to become the next U.S. Senator to represent the Sunshine State. Scott was leading Nelson by 10,000 votes in the race to become the next U.S. Senator to represent Florida. Official results showed Sunday. Nelson, who served 3 terms in the U.S. Senate, met his match in Gov. Rick Scott. The victory will be Scott's 3rd close statewide win in less than a decade. The victory also marks the first time in more than a century that the Sunshine State has 2 Republican senators representing them in Washington. The state is scheduled to certify results in the race on November 20. Election day results showed Nelson trailing Scott by more than 56,000 votes. Scott's lead narrowed to 12,603 votes after a statewide machine recount. The new numbers triggered an automatic hand recount under Florida law. It's unclear what Nelson's plans will be post-race. The 76-year-old was first elected to office in a state house district near Cape Canaveral in 1972. He served 3 terms in the Florida House, 6 terms in Congress, and was Florida's insurance commissioner after Hurricane Andrew swept the Miami area. Sunday's hard-fought conclusion comes after a series of election missteps, in Broward and Palm Beach counties in particular, that put Florida back in the national spotlight. After getting off to a slow start, embattled Broward County Supervisor of Elections Brenda Snipes boasted Thursday about making the state's deadline for machine recounts. "We are excited to be at this point," she said Thursday afternoon. A few hours later, election officials were forced to admit the county had uploaded the results of the recount 2 minutes after the state's 3 p.m. cutoff, making its machine recount tally void. "Basically, I just worked my ass off for nothing," Joseph D'Alessandro, Broward County's Election Planning and Development Director, said. D'Alessandro said he had a hard time uploading the results in time because he wasn't familiar with the website used to send them to the Secretary of State. When asked what would happen if Broward missed Sunday's deadline, County Attorney Drew Myers inhaled deeply and told Fox News he couldn't even entertain the idea. "They have to make that deadline," he said. Broward's bungled recount efforts had many calling for Snipes to step down, including former Florida Gov. Jeb Bush. There is no question that Broward County Supervisor of Elections Brenda Snipes failed to comply with Florida law on multiple counts, undermining Floridians' confidence in our electoral process, Bush tweeted on Monday. Supervisor Snipes should be removed from her office following the recounts. Protesters have been camped outside Broward's Lauderhill recount site since last Sunday. Some carried signs that read, "Corrupt Snipes, lock her up, busted Brenda and I trust Michael of Natty more than Brenda," while shouting at election officials, counter-protesters and the news media. President Trump also sounded off on Snipes, telling the Daily Caller, "When they call this woman incompetent, they're wrong. She's very competent but in a bad way." On Tuesday, Snipes said she's considering leaving after the recount. "It is time to move on," she said. "I haven't finalized that. I'll just check with my family. They'll tell me what I'm doing." Like Broward, Palm Beach County also missed its machine recount deadline. Election Supervisor Susan Bucker said the county found dozens of precincts missing a significant number of votes and indicated there may be entire boxes of ballots that weren't counted, according to a report in the New York Times. She also blamed the county's issues on mechanical errors and said the scanning machine overheated. It got so bad that she had to fly in 2 mechanics to fix the problem. The technicians, though, witnessed Palm Beach County workers jam a paperclip into the scanner's enter button to slow the high-speed scanner down. That action caused a short circuit that cut off the power. U.S. District Judge Mark Warner, who heard several legal challenges filed in connection to the recount, slammed state lawmakers and Palm Beach County officials for failing to anticipate election problems and said the state law on recounts appears to violate the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that decided the presidency in 2000. "We have been the laughingstock of the world, election after election, and we chose not to fix this," Walker said in court. While there have been no estimates yet on how much the 2018 recount will cost, past recounts have raked up a hefty bill. In 2000, Citizens Against Government Waste released a report that estimated the costs associated with the state's recount efforts. CAG estimated Palm Beach County blew through $25,000 a day and projected the 2000 recount cost in Broward, Miami-Dade and Palm Beach counties to be more than $2 million.